Princess Lyra stood before the crystal mirror in her chamber, watching the morning light dance across her blue skin. The soft glow made her horn-like protrusions shimmer, but she felt no beauty in the reflection. Today marked the 7th failure. 7 attempts to carry a child, and 7 times her body had rejected the genetic material of the Empire's finest males. The door chimed, and her servant entered with downcast eyes. "Your Highness, the High Council requests your presence in the throne room." Lyra's heart sank. She knew what this meant. The council had grown tired of her failures. In Velothi society, a female's worth was measured by her ability to produce offspring. Without this fundamental capability, she was nothing more than a burden on the royal bloodline. The throne room stretched before her like a vast cavern of judgment. 12 council members sat in their elevated seats, their faces carved from stone. At the center, Chancellor Vex rose from his throne, his ancient features twisted with disgust. "Princess Lyra," his voice echoed through the chamber, "you have brought shame upon our noble house. 7 times we have provided you with genetically superior males. 7 times you have failed to fulfill your basic function as a female." Lyra kept her eyes fixed on the floor. "I am sorry, Chancellor. I have tried everything the healers suggested." "Trying is not enough," Vex spat. "You are defective, broken. A princess who cannot produce heirs is no princess at all." The words cut deep, but Lyra had heard them before. First whispered in corridors, then spoken openly in court. Now they came from the highest authority in the Empire. "We have reached a decision," Vex continued. "You will be removed from the line of succession. Your younger sister will take your place as heir to the throne." Lyra's knees nearly buckled. She had expected this, but hearing it made real sent waves of pain through her chest. "I understand, Chancellor." However, Vex's tone changed, becoming almost pleased. "We have found a use for you yet." At that moment, the great doors opened. A group of aliens entered the chamber, their strange, pale skin and rounded features marking them as humans. Lyra had heard of these creatures but never seen them up close. They were considered a minor species, barely worth notice except for their willingness to trade raw materials for advanced technology. The leader of the human group stepped forward. He was tall for his species, with dark hair and steady brown eyes. Unlike the Velothi, he showed no fear or submission in the presence of the High Council. "Chancellor Vex," the human said, his voice calm and respectful, "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Aurora. We come seeking to renew our trade agreements?" Vex smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Captain Morrison, how fortunate. Your arrival presents us with a unique opportunity." Jake's eyes flicked to Lyra, then back to the Chancellor. "I'm not sure I understand." "You see, Captain, we Velothi believe in the importance of cultural exchange. We have decided to offer you a gift that will strengthen the bonds between our peoples." Lyra's stomach twisted. She began to understand what was happening. "We present to you Princess Lyra," Vex gestured toward her with mock ceremony, "to serve as a cultural ambassador aboard your vessel." The human captain's eyes widened slightly. "Chancellor, this is very generous, but we couldn't possibly accept such an honor." "Oh, but you must," Vex insisted, his voice dripping with false kindness. "The princess has expressed great interest in human culture. Haven't you, my dear?" Lyra knew better than to contradict the Chancellor. "Yes, Your Excellency." Several council members snickered. The joke was clear to everyone in the room except the humans. They were being given damaged goods, a defective princess, as a cruel jest. The Velothi expected the humans to be honored by the gift, not knowing they were receiving what the Empire considered worthless. Jake looked uncomfortable. "Chancellor, if the princess wishes to study human culture, we would be honored to facilitate an exchange program, but surely she has duties here that ... "None that cannot be handled by others," Vex cut him off. "The princess is quite expendable. Consider her a token of our friendship." The word expendable hit Lyra like a physical blow. She had always known her worth was tied to her fertility, but to hear it stated so plainly in front of aliens made her feel smaller than ever. Jake's expression hardened slightly. He was beginning to understand the true nature of this gift. I see, and how long would this cultural exchange last? Oh, indefinitely, Vex waved dismissively. The princess has no pressing obligations here. She may remain with you for as long as you find her useful. Lyra felt tears threatening behind her eyes. She was being cast out, given away like an unwanted object. The humans would probably dump her on the first world they visited, wanting nothing to do with a foreign princess who brought no value to their mission. But then Jake did something unexpected. He walked over to her and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that caught everyone off guard. "Princess Lyra," he said softly, "would you like to accompany us on our journey? I promise you will be treated with the dignity and respect you deserve." 4. The first time in months, Lyra looked directly into someone's eyes. Jake's gaze held no mockery, no disgust, no pity, just simple human kindness. "I would be honored, Captain Morrison," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Vex clapped his hands together. "Excellent, the matter is settled. Princess Lyra will depart with you immediately." Jake turned back to the Chancellor. "If you don't mind, we'd like to complete our trade negotiations first. Then we can discuss the details of the princess's stay with us." Of course, Vex agreed, clearly eager to be rid of Lyra as quickly as possible. As the formal proceedings continued, Lyra found herself stealing glances at the human captain. He conducted himself with quiet dignity, never raising his voice or showing disrespect, even when the Velothi negotiators made unreasonable demands. His crew followed his lead, treating the negotiations as serious business rather than the joke. The Velothi clearly considered them. When the talks concluded, Jake approached her again. "Princess, do you have belongings you'd like to bring with you?" "Not much," Lyra admitted. "I have some personal items and my research materials." "Research materials?" Jake's eyebrows rose with interest. "What kind of research?" "I study quantum biology," Lyra said, surprised by his genuine curiosity. "The interaction between consciousness and cellular development." "That sounds fascinating. We have an excellent science department aboard the Aurora. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your work." Lyra stared at him. No one had ever called her research fascinating before. The Velothi considered it a waste of time, a distraction from her real purpose of bearing children. "You would want to hear about my work?" she asked. "Of course. Knowledge is one of humanity's greatest treasures. We're always eager to learn from other species." As they walked toward the exit, Lyra heard the council members already discussing her replacement in the succession. She had been forgotten before she even left the room. But for the first time in years, she felt something other than despair. Maybe, just maybe, these humans would see her as more than a failed princess. Maybe they would see her as a person with value beyond her ability to reproduce. It was a small hope, but it was more than she had felt in a very long time. The great doors closed behind them, and Princess Lyra walked toward an uncertain future. Her first steps toward discovering that sometimes the cruelest jokes lead to the most unexpected blessings. The Aurora was unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. Where Velothi ships were all sharp angles and crystal surfaces, this human vessel felt warm and lived in. The corridors had soft lighting and walls painted in calming colors. She could hear laughter coming from somewhere nearby, a sound rarely heard on her homeworld. Jake led her through the ship, pointing out different areas. "The mess hall is down that way, and the recreation room is just past it. Your quarters are on deck 3, near the science labs." Lyra walked beside him, clutching her small bag of belongings. She expected to be shown to some storage room or servants' quarters, but Jake stopped outside a door marked with the number 312. "This is your room," he said, pressing his palm to a scanner. The door slid open to reveal a spacious cabin with a bed, desk, and even a small sitting area. "I hope it's comfortable. Dr. Chun helped me set it up." She researched Velothi preferences for lighting and temperature. Lyra stared at the room. It was larger than her chambers back on the homeworld, and far more welcoming. "This is for me. Of course, you're our guest, Princess. You should be comfortable during your stay with us." But I'm not really a princess anymore," Lyra said quietly. Chancellor Vex made that clear. Jake's expression grew serious. You're a princess to us. Titles aren't something that can be taken away by cruel people. They're earned through how you treat others and how you carry yourself. These words confused Lyra. On her world, titles were everything. They determined your worth. Your future, your place in society? The idea that Jake would still call her princess after what happened in the throne room was strange and unexpected. I don't understand humans, she admitted. Jake smiled. That's okay. We probably don't understand Velothi very well either. But we have plenty of time to learn about each other. Over the next few days, Lyra discovered that life aboard the Aurora was completely different from anything she had known. The crew members treated her with respect, but also with casual friendliness. They asked about her world, her culture, and her interests. No one asked about her fertility or her failed attempts to bear children. Dr. Lisa Shun was particularly kind. She was a small woman with bright eyes and an endless curiosity about alien biology. When she learned about Lyra's research, she became very excited. Quantum biology is fascinating, Lisa said as they sat in the ship's library. We've been trying to understand consciousness for centuries. Your people have made real progress in this area. You really want to hear about my work? Lyra asked, still not quite believing it. Absolutely. Here, let me show you some of our research. Lisa pulled up holographic displays showing human brain scans and genetic sequences. Lyra found herself drawn into the discussion, explaining concepts that she had never been able to share with anyone on her homeworld. Your neural pathways are so much more complex than ours, Lisa observed, studying readings from a scanner. And your cellular regeneration rates are incredible. No wonder you live so much longer than humans. But we can't adapt like you can. Lyra replied, humans seem to thrive in any environment. We need very specific conditions. Different species, different strengths, Lisa said. That's what makes diversity so valuable. As the days passed, Lyra began to feel something she hadn't experienced in years: usefulness. The crew genuinely appreciated her knowledge and insights. She helped the engineering team understand Velothi energy systems, worked with the navigation officer on star charts, and spent long hours in the lab with Lisa, but it was her growing friendship with Jake that surprised her most. He would join her for meals, ask about her day, and share stories about Earth and human culture. He treated her as an equal, not as a burden or a failure. Tell me about human families, Lyra said one evening as they sat in the observation deck. Watching stars streak past, Jake leaned back in his chair. Well, they're all different. Some are big, some are small. Some people have children, some don't. Some families are related by blood, others are chosen. Chosen? Lyra had never heard this concept before. Friends who become so close they're like family. People who adopt children who aren't biologically theirs. Partners who decide to build a life together even if they can't have kids. But how do they continue their genetic line? Jake looked thoughtful. Not everyone needs to. Some people contribute to society in other ways. They teach, they discover, they create, they help others. There are many ways to leave a mark on the world. These conversations opened up new ways of thinking for Lyra. On her world, everything revolved around reproduction and genetic continuation. The idea that someone could have value without bearing children was revolutionary. I want to understand more about human medicine, Lyra said to Lisa one day. Specifically how you handle fertility issues. Lisa's eyes lit up. That's actually one of my specialties. Would you mind if I ran some tests on you? I'm curious about Velothi biology. Lyra hesitated. She had been tested countless times on her homeworld, always with the same disappointing results. But Lisa's approach seemed different. She wasn't trying to fix Lyra or make her fit into a predetermined role. She was simply curious about how different species worked. I suppose that would be acceptable, Lyra agreed. The tests were unlike anything she had experienced before. Instead of focusing solely on reproductive organs, Lisa examined her entire system. She took readings of brain activity, hormone levels, genetic markers, and cellular functions. This is remarkable, Lisa said, studying the results. Your reproductive system is incredibly sophisticated, much more complex than ours. But it doesn't work, Lyra said bitterly. I've tried with 7 different males, the most genetically perfect specimens our world could offer. Lisa frowned at the data. Actually, I don't think you're infertile at all. Your system appears to be functioning normally. Lyra's heart skipped. What do you mean? Well, look at this. Lisa pulled up a genetic comparison. Your reproductive cells have a very specific compatibility requirement. They're designed to work with a particular genetic structure. Yes, that's why they selected the best males for me. But that's just it, Lisa said excitedly. Your cells aren't compatible with typical Velathe genetics? You have a rare variant that makes you incompatible with your own species' standard genetic patterns. Lyra felt her world shift. So I really am defective. No, Lisa shook her head vigorously. You're not defective. You're just different. This variant might make you compatible with other species instead. Other species? Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. It's just a theory, but your genetic markers show some interesting similarities to human patterns. It's possible that what makes you incompatible with Velathe males might actually make you compatible with humans. Lyra stared at the test results, her mind racing. Could it be true? Had her people been trying to force her into a mold she was never meant to fit? This is all theoretical, Lisa continued, but it would explain why you've had so much trouble. Your body isn't broken. It's just looking for a different kind of partner. That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. She walked through the ship's corridors, thinking about everything Lisa had told her. She wasn't defective. She was different. Her body had been designed for something else entirely. She found herself in the observation deck again, staring out. At the stars, Jake was there, as she somehow knew he would be. Couldn't sleep either? He asked gently. Dr. Chun thinks I might not be infertile after all, Lyra said. Jake turned to look at her. That's wonderful news, is it? I'm still not compatible with my own species. I'm still an outsider. Being different isn't a bad thing, Jake said. Some of the most amazing people I know are different from everyone else around them. Lyra looked at him, really looked at him. This human who had shown her more kindness in a few weeks than she had received in years from her own people. Jake, she said softly, what if I told you that I might be compatible with humans instead of Velathe? Jake was quiet for a long moment. I'd say that's interesting. But more importantly, I'd say that your worth isn't determined by who you're compatible with. You're valuable because of who you are, not because of what you can or can't do biologically. For the first time since leaving her homeworld, Lyra smiled. Really smiled. Maybe the Velathe had been wrong about her. Maybe what they saw as a cruel joke was actually a gift she had yet to understand. The blue glow of Earth filled the observation deck as the aurora approached humanity's homeworld. Lyra stood beside Jake, watching the planet grow larger through the transparent walls. She had been traveling with the humans for 3 months now, and everything about her life had changed. It's beautiful, she whispered, seeing the swirling white clouds and deep blue oceans. Wait until you see the cities, Jake said, standing close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his body. And the mountains and the forest. Over the past weeks, something had grown between them. It started as friendship, but slowly became something deeper. Jake would find excuses to spend time with her. She would save interesting discoveries to share with him. They would talk for hours about everything and nothing. Jake, Lyra said, not looking away from the planet, what will happen to me on Earth? What do you mean? I'm an alien. A former princess from a species that barely tolerates humans. Where do I fit in your world? Jake turned to face her fully. You fit wherever you want to fit. You're not defined by what the Velathe think of you or what they did to you. You're defined by who you choose to be. Lyra looked into his brown eyes. I don't know who I am anymore. For my whole life, I was told I was a failure. Now Dr. Chun says I might not be broken after all. But what if she's wrong? What if I really am defective? Jake reached out and gently touched her hand. Lyra, you're The most brilliant person I've ever met. You've helped our engineers solve problems they'd been working on for years. You've taught our scientists new ways to think about consciousness and biology. You've made everyone on this ship better just by being here. But I still can't do the one thing I was born to do. Says who? Some council that was too narrow-minded. To see your worth? They threw you away like garbage, and look what they lost. Their loss is our gain. Lyra felt her heart beating faster. Jake, I need to tell you something. Dr. Chun ran more tests. She's almost certain now that I could be compatible with humans for reproduction. Jake's expression grew serious. How do you feel about that? Scared, Lyra admitted. What if it doesn't work? What if I get my hopes up and fail again? Then we'll deal with it together, Jake said without hesitation. If you want to try, I'll be there. If you don't want to try, that's okay too. Either way, you're not alone anymore. Lyra stared at him. Together? Jake's cheeks turned slightly red. I mean, if you want to... I know I'm just a human, and you're a princess from an advanced civilization. But I care about you, Lyra, more than I probably should. More than you should? Lyra felt a smile tugging at her lips. Jake Morrison, are you saying you have feelings? For me? I'm saying I think I'm falling in love with you, Jake said quietly. I know it's crazy. I know we're from different worlds, literally, but I can't help how I feel. Lyra's heart soared. It's not crazy, I feel the same way. They stood there for a moment, looking at each other. Then Jake leaned down and kissed her gently. It was Lyra's first kiss, and it was perfect. When they pulled apart, Lyra laughed. The Velothi would be horrified. A princess falling in love with a human. Good thing we're not on the Velothi homeworld then. Jake grinned. Earth was everything Jake had promised and more. The cities were massive but full of life. The natural areas were wild and beautiful. But what impressed Lyra most was the diversity. Humans came in so many different shapes, sizes, and colors. They had different beliefs, different cultures, different ways of living. How do you all get along? She asked Jake as they walked through New York City. We don't always, Jake admitted, but we try. We've learned that differences make us stronger, not weaker. Dr. Chun had arranged for Lyra to work with a team of scientists at the Global Research Institute. They were fascinated by her knowledge of quantum biology and consciousness studies. Within days, they were collaborating on projects that could benefit both species. Your understanding of neural cellular interfaces is incredible. Dr. Peter Collins, the head of the neuroscience department, told her, We've been trying to crack this problem for decades. And your approach to genetic adaptation is so creative, Lyra replied. Velothi science is very rigid. We follow established patterns, but humans think outside those patterns. That's because we have to, Dr. Collins laughed. We're not as advanced as your people, so we have to be more creative. You're more advanced than you think, Lyra said. Your technology might be simpler, but your thinking is more flexible. That's a different kind of advancement. As weeks passed, Lyra found herself truly happy for the first time in her life. She had meaningful work, good friends, and Jake. Their relationship grew stronger every day. He showed her human art, music, and literature. She shared stories of Velothi culture and philosophy. I want to ask you something, Jake said one evening as they watched the sunset from his apartment balcony. What is it? Jake got down on one knee and pulled out a small box. Lyra, I know we come from different worlds. I know this might seem fast, but I can't imagine my life without you anymore. Will you marry me? Lyra gasped. She had heard about human marriage customs, but never thought she would be part of one. Jake, are you sure? I'm an alien. I might not be able to give you children. Your people might not accept me? I'm sure, Jake said firmly. I love you for who you are, not for what you might be able to do. And if people can't accept you, then they can't accept me either. Tears ran down Lyra's cheeks. Yes, I'll marry you. The engagement created quite a stir in the media. The first human Velothi wedding was big news. Some people were supportive, others were skeptical, a few were openly hostile. Are you sure about this? Dr. Chin asked Lyra during one of their research sessions. The attention is pretty intense. I've never been more sure of anything, Lyra replied. Jake makes me feel like I'm worth something, like I matter. You do matter. You always have. I know that now. But for so long, I believed what the Valathi told me about myself. Jake helped me see that they were wrong. The wedding planning was complicated. They had to consider both human and Valathi customs. Lyra's family didn't attend, but Jake's family welcomed her with open arms. She's perfect for you, Jake's mother told him. I can see how happy she makes you. She makes me want to be better, Jake replied. She sees possibilities I never would have imagined. The wedding took place in a beautiful garden in California. Representatives from both worlds attended, though the Valathi delegation seemed more curious than celebratory. Dr. Chun served as Lyra's maid of honor, and Jake's best friend from the Aurora was his best man. As they exchanged vows, Lyra felt like she was finally becoming who she was meant to be. Not a failed princess, not a defective Valathi, but simply Lyra Morrison, a scientist, a wife, and a bridge between two worlds. I promise to love you for who you are, Jake said, holding her hands, not for what others think you should be. I promise to build a future with you, Lyra replied, whatever that future might hold. When they kissed as husband and wife, the crowd cheered. But Lyra barely heard them. She was too busy thinking about how far she had come from that humiliating day in the Valathi throne room. That night, in their hotel room, Lyra and Jake talked about their future. What if Dr. Chun is wrong? Lyra asked. What if we can't have children? Then we'll adopt, Jake said simply. Or we'll be the best aunt and uncle to our friends' kids. Or we'll focus on our work and make the galaxy a better place. There are lots of ways to build a family, Lyra smiled. I love how you think. I love you, Jake replied, kissing her forehead. As they fell asleep in each other's arms, Lyra thought about the cruel joke the Valathi had played. They had given her to the humans as an insult, expecting her to be a burden. Instead, she had found love, purpose, and a new understanding of her own worth. The joke, it seemed, was on them. 6 months after the wedding, Lyra woke up feeling strange. Her stomach was upset, and she felt dizzy when she stood up. At first, she thought it was just stress from her latest research project, but the symptoms continued for several days. Maybe you should see Dr. Chun, Jake suggested as he brought her tea in bed. I'm fine, Lyra insisted, though she didn't feel fine at all. It's probably just something I ate. But when she fainted during a meeting at the research institute, Jake didn't give her a choice. He carried her straight to the medical center where Dr. Chun worked. Let's run some tests, Dr. Chun said, her eyes full of concern. Your symptoms could be caused by several things. Lyra lay on the examination table while Dr. Chun ran various scans. She had been through so many medical tests in her life that she barely paid attention anymore. But when Dr. Chun gasped and stared at the screen, Lyra sat up quickly. What is it? What's wrong? Dr. Chun turned to look at her, tears in her eyes. Lyra, you're pregnant. The world seemed to stop. Lyra stared at Dr. Chun, unable to process the words, that's impossible. Look at the screen, Dr. Chun said, pointing to the monitor. There's a baby growing inside you. About 6 weeks along, Lyra's hands went to her stomach. But I can't be pregnant, I'm infertile. 7 attempts on my homeworld proved that. You were never infertile, Dr. Chun said gently. You just weren't compatible with Valathi males. But you are compatible with humans. Your body finally found what it was looking for. Jake rushed into the room after being called by Dr. Chun. Is everything okay? What's wrong with Lyra? Nothing's wrong, Dr. Chun smiled. Everything's right. She's pregnant. Jake's face went through several emotions at once. Shock, joy, disbelief, and then pure happiness. Are you sure? Completely sure. Congratulations, you're going to be parents. Jake sat down heavily in a chair. I can't believe it. After everything you went through, after being told you were defective. I'm going to have a baby, Lyra whispered, still touching her stomach. I'm actually going to have a baby. The news spread quickly through the scientific community. The first human Velothi pregnancy was groundbreaking. Researchers from around the world wanted to study the pregnancy, but Dr. Chun protected Lyra fiercely. "This is a medical miracle," she told the eager scientists. "But Lyra is my patient first, not a research subject." As word reached the Velothi Empire, the reaction was explosive. The High Council demanded that Lyra return immediately. They claimed the baby belonged to the Empire and must be raised on the Velothi homeworld. Chancellor Vex sent angry messages to Earth's government. "The princess was given to you as a cultural exchange. She remains a citizen of the Velothi Empire. Her child is Velothi property." "I'm not property," Lyra said angrily when she heard about the demands, "and neither is my baby." "They can't force you to go back," Jake said, holding her close. "You're married to me now? You're a human citizen?" The diplomatic pressure was intense. The Velothi threatened to cut off trade with Earth if Lyra didn't return. Some human politicians began to waver, worried about the economic consequences. "Maybe we should consider their request," Senator Williams suggested during a meeting with Earth's leadership. "We don't want to start a war over one person." "One person?" Jake stood up angrily. "She's my wife. She's carrying my child. And she's a human citizen with rights." Dr. Chun supported them completely. "This pregnancy is unprecedented. We're learning things about interspecies biology that could help both our peoples. Forcing Lyra to return to a world that rejected her would be cruel and scientifically destructive." As the pregnancy progressed, it became clear that this was no ordinary child. The baby was developing faster than either human or Velothi children normally would. The scans showed a brain structure that combined the best features of both species. "The neural development is incredible," Dr. Chen explained to Jake and Lyra. "Your child will have human creativity and adaptability combined with Velothi intelligence and longevity." "Is that safe?" Jake asked, worried. "Will the baby be healthy?" "All the signs are positive. The child seems to be naturally balancing the traits from both parents. It's like your genetics were designed to work together." But the pregnancy also attracted unwanted attention. Velothi extremists began sending threatening messages, calling the baby an abomination. Some humans also reacted badly, fearing that hybrid children would somehow threaten pure human genetics. "We need better security," Dr. Chun told them after receiving another threat. "There are people on both sides who don't want this pregnancy to succeed." Jake hired private security guards and moved them to a safe house. Lyra hated being hidden away, but she understood the danger. Too many people had strong opinions about her unborn child. "I just want to give birth to a healthy baby," she told Jake one night as they lay in bed. "Why does everyone else think they have a say in this?" "Because they're scared," Jake replied. "Change frightens people. But our child represents the future. A future where different species can work together instead of fighting." "I hope you're right." The pregnancy complications began in the 7th month. Lyra's body was struggling to support a child that was developing differently than her physiology expected. She was hospitalized for constant monitoring. "The baby is putting unusual stress on your system," Dr. Chun explained. "Human Velothi hybrid development is uncharted territory. We're learning as we go. Is the baby going to be okay?" Lyra asked, her hands protectively over her swollen belly. "The baby is fine. It's you I'm worried about. Your body is working overtime to support this unique pregnancy." Jake barely left her side. He read to her, brought her favorite foods, and held her hand during the difficult moments. Other crew members from the Aurora visited regularly, bringing news from the outside world and reminding Lyra that she had a family who cared about her. "The whole galaxy is watching," Captain Rodriguez from the Aurora told her during one visit. "Scientists, politicians, ordinary people, everyone wants to know what happens next." "No pressure," Lyra laughed weakly. "You've already achieved the impossible," Rodriguez said. "Everything else is just details." As the pregnancy entered its final weeks, Dr. Chen assembled a team of the best doctors from both human and Velothi medicine. The Velothi doctors were reluctant to help at first, but their curiosity about the hybrid pregnancy overcame their political objections. This is fascinating, Dr. Zara, a Velothi medical expert, admitted. The cellular interactions are unlike anything we've seen before. Will you help us? Dr. Chun asked. Of course. Politics aside, this is a medical breakthrough. The child deserves the best care possible. The birth was scheduled for a secure medical facility. Security was tight, with guards from both human and Velothi forces protecting the building. Media from across the galaxy waited outside for news. I'm scared, Lyra told Jake as they prepared for the delivery. I'm scared too, Jake admitted, but we're going to meet our child today. After everything we've been through, we're finally going to be parents. What if something goes wrong? Then we'll face it together, just like we've faced everything else. Dr. Chun checked the monitors one last time. It's time. Are you ready? Lyra squeezed Jake's hand. I'm ready. As the labor began, Lyra thought about the long journey that had brought her to this moment. From the humiliation in the Velothi throne room to this medical miracle, she had discovered that sometimes the cruelest jokes lead to the most beautiful outcomes. The baby was coming, and with it, a new chapter in the history of two worlds. The cry of a newborn baby filled the delivery room, and Lyra felt her heart stop. After 12 hours of labor, her daughter was finally here. Dr. Chun quickly cleaned the baby and placed her on Lyra's chest. She's perfect, Jake whispered, tears streaming down his face. Look at her, Lyra. She's absolutely perfect. The baby had Lyra's blue-tinted skin, but it was softer, more human-like. Her eyes were large and dark like Jake's, but with the distinctive Velothi intelligence already visible. Tiny horn-like bumps showed where Velothi protrusions would grow, but they were smaller and more delicate than normal. What should we call her? Lyra asked, unable to look away from her daughter's face. Hope, Jake said without hesitation. Her name is Hope. Dr. Chun ran quick tests while the baby rested with her parents. All her vital signs are excellent. Brain activity is off the charts. She's healthy and strong. She's beautiful, Dr. Zara, the Velothi doctor, said with wonder. I've never seen anything like her. She truly has the best features of both species. Within hours, news of Hope's birth spread across the galaxy. The first successful human-Velothi hybrid was front-page news on every world. Videos of the tiny baby went viral, showing millions of people that cooperation between species was possible, but not everyone was happy about Hope's existence. Violent protests broke out on several Velothi worlds. Extremist groups called for the baby to be destroyed, claiming she was an insult to genetic purity. Some humans also reacted with fear, worried about what hybrid children might mean for the future. They're calling her an abomination, Jake said angrily, reading news reports on his tablet. Let them talk, Lyra said, holding Hope close. They said the same thing about me. Look how wrong they were. Chancellor Vex sent increasingly demanding messages, ordering Lyra to return to the Velothi Empire with the baby. He claimed that Hope belonged to the Velothi people and must be raised according to their traditions. The child carries royal blood. His latest message read, She must be educated in Velothi ways and prepared for her responsibilities to the Empire. What responsibilities? Lyra laughed bitterly. They threw me away like garbage? Now they want my daughter because she's special? 3 months after Hope's birth, Earth's government decided that Lyra should return to the Velothi homeworld as an ambassador. It wasn't a request but a diplomatic necessity. Relations between the two worlds were becoming too strained. You don't have to do this, Jake said as they prepared for the journey. We can refuse. We can stay here where Hope is safe. No, Lyra said firmly. I need to face them. I need to show them what their cruelty created. Maybe some good can come from this. Then we go together as a family. Jake, it might be dangerous. The Velothi aren't known for treating humans well. I don't care. You're my wife. Hope is my daughter. Where you go, we go. The journey to the Velothi homeworld took 2 weeks aboard a diplomatic vessel. Hope was an easy baby, curious about everything around her. Even at 3 months old, her intelligence was obvious. She would study faces intently, as if trying to understand everything she saw. She's going to be remarkable, Dr. Chun said, accompanying them as part of the diplomatic team. Her brain development is unprecedented. She's processing information at a rate that's incredible for her age. As they approached the crystal spires of the Velothi capital, Lyra felt nervous for the first time in months. The last time she had been here, she was considered a failure. Now she was returning with the impossible made real. The landing ceremony was massive. Thousands of Velothi citizens lined the streets, eager to see the hybrid child. Most looked curious rather than angry. Hope seemed to enjoy the attention, gurgling happily in Lyra's arms. Chancellor Vex waited in the same throne room where Lyra had been humiliated a year earlier. He looked older, his face marked with stress lines. The other council members sat in their elevated seats, but their expressions were different now. Instead of disgust, Lyra saw uncertainty and awe. "Princess Lyra," Vex said as she entered with Jake and Hope, "you have returned to us." "I have returned as Ambassador Lyra Morrison," she corrected firmly, "representing Earth and humanity." Vex's eyes fixed on Hope, who was looking around the throne room with obvious intelligence. "And this is the child." "This is my daughter, Hope Morrison. The child you said was impossible." "The child belongs here with her people," Vex said, but his voice lacked its usual authority. "Her people are whoever loves and accepts her," Lyra replied. "That includes humans and any Velothi wise enough to see her value?" Jake stepped forward, holding Hope's tiny hand. "My daughter will know both sides of her heritage, but she be raised with love and acceptance, not judgment and cruelty." Murmurs rippled through the council chamber. Several council members leaned forward to get a better look at Hope. The baby seemed to sense the attention and made a soft cooing sound that echoed through the vast room. "The child is an anomaly," Councillor Vex said. "She doesn't fit into our society's structure." "Neither did I," Lyra said boldly. "And look what you almost lost by throwing me away." She stepped forward, holding Hope so everyone could see her clearly. "You gave me to the humans as a cruel joke. You expected me to suffer and fail. Instead, I found love, purpose, and the ability to create life. Your cruelty became the foundation for something beautiful." "The child's genetics are unprecedented," Dr. Chun said, producing her research data. "She has enhanced intelligence, improved physical capabilities, and the potential for extraordinary longevity. She represents the future of interspecies cooperation." "Chancellor," Vex looked uncomfortable, "the High Council will need time to discuss this situation." "There's nothing to discuss," Lyra said firmly. "Hope exists. She's healthy and happy. She's proof that your narrow views about genetic purity were wrong." Over the following days, Lyra, Jake, and Hope stayed in the capital as honored guests. The public reaction was mixed but generally positive. Many Velothi citizens were fascinated by Hope and wanted to learn more about human-Velothi cooperation. Young Velothi scientists asked endless questions about the pregnancy and birth. "How did you overcome the genetic incompatibility?" Dr. Kess asked during a presentation. "We didn't overcome anything," Lyra explained. "We discovered that what the Empire called a defect was actually a different kind of compatibility. My body was designed for interspecies reproduction, not standard Velothi breeding. So the princess was never broken," Dr. Kess said with wonder. "She was evolved." The breakthrough moment came when Hope fell ill with a minor fever. Velothi doctors insisted on examining her, worried that hybrid physiology might be unstable. But when they ran their tests, they discovered something remarkable. "The child's immune system is extraordinary," Dr. Nala reported to the council. "She's resistant to diseases that affect both humans and Velothi. Her hybrid nature gives her advantages that neither species has alone." "She's not weaker because she's mixed," Dr. Chun added. "She's stronger." Chancellor Vex called for a private meeting with Lyra. They sat in his office, Hope sleeping peacefully in her mother's arms. "I was wrong about you," he said quietly. "I thought you were a failure, a burden on our society. I gave you away to embarrass both you and the humans." "Yes, you did," Lyra said without anger. "But your cruelty led to something wonderful. The child changes everything." If hybrid offspring are superior to pure bloodlines, then our entire social structure is built on false assumptions. Maybe it's time to change that structure. Vex looked at Hope's sleeping face. What do you want from us? Nothing for myself. But I want a future where children like Hope are celebrated, not feared. Where genetic diversity is seen as strength, not weakness. And if we refuse? Then you'll miss out on the greatest evolutionary leap your species could take, but we'll be fine. Hope will grow up loved and valued among the humans. The final council session was broadcast across the galaxy. Lyra stood before the assembled leaders, holding Hope in her arms. The baby was awake and alert, her large eyes studying everything around her. 1 year ago, you gave me to the humans as a joke, Lyra began. You expected me to fail and suffer. Instead, I found love, purpose, and the ability to create new life. She lifted Hope higher so everyone could see her. This child is the future. Not just for Velothi or humans, but for all species willing to work together. She proves that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. What are you proposing? Chancellor, Vex asked. I propose the creation of the Morrison Hope Institute for Interspecies Studies, a place where young beings from all species can learn together, work together, and build a better future together. The vote was close, but it passed. The institute would be built on a neutral world, funded by both human and Velothi governments. Hope would grow up there, surrounded by children from many species. 5 years later, Lyra stood in the institute's playground, watching Hope play with human, Velothi, and several other alien children. Her daughter had grown into a bright, curious child who spoke multiple languages and solved problems that amazed adult scientists. Mama, look what we built! Hope called out, pointing to an elaborate structure the children had created together. It's beautiful, sweetheart, Lyra called back. Jake came up beside her, putting his arm around her waist. Any regrets about coming back? None, Lyra said, watching their daughter laugh with her friends. The Velothi meant to humiliate me.